In a small village, surrounded by golden fields and soft hills, a young farmer worked hard under the hot sun. His hands were rough from digging, his shoulders strong from lifting, but his heart was heavy with doubt. He grew the best wheat, but he always thought it wasn't good enough. The villagers bought his crops, but he feared they only did so out of pity. "My fields are too small," he sighed, his dark eyes looking down. "Others do better." Near his field stood an old tree, tall and wide, with branches that stretched like arms to the sky. Its bark was rough and gray, its leaves green and full, even in dry times. The tree had seen many seasons, its roots deep in the earth. It didn't speak much, but when it did, its voice was like a low hum, wise and calm. Many in the village ignored it, busy with their work, but it saw everything. One evening, the young farmer sat under the tree, wiping sweat from his face. His crops were growing, but he worried they'd fail. "What if the rains don't come?" he muttered. "What if I'm not a real farmer?" The tree's leaves rustled softly. "Why do you doubt yourself?" it asked, its voice deep. The young farmer looked up, surprised. "You're just a tree," he said. "What do you know?" The tree hummed. "I've stood here longer than you've lived. Doubt is like a weed. It grows if you let it." The young farmer frowned, but listened. The tree spoke again. "Your hands plant seeds. Your heart makes them grow. Trust them both." The young farmer shook his head. "My fields aren't like the big ones in the valley. I'm not enough." The tree's branches swayed. A seed doesn't need to be big to grow tall. Start believing. Days passed, and the young farmer kept working, but doubt clung to him. The village announced a great harvest fair, where farmers would show their best crops to judges from far away. The winners' crops would be sold in the city, bringing honor and gold. The young farmer wanted to join, but fear stopped him. "My wheat isn't special," he thought. "Others will laugh." Each night, he sat under the tree, staring at his fields. The tree watched him, its leaves whispering. "Doubt holds you back," it said one night. "Your wheat shines in the sun. Show it." The young farmer's hands shook. "What if I fail?" The tree's voice was firm. "Failing is better than hiding. Plant your courage." Those words stuck with him like seeds in soft earth. The young farmer decided to try. He chose his best wheat, golden and tall, and worked late to prepare it. His hands moved fast, cutting and bundling, but his mind raced with worry. "What if it's not enough?" he whispered. The tree's leaves rustled. "You've already grown it. That's enough." He took a deep breath and kept going, his heart a little lighter. The fair day came, and the village square was alive with colors. Farmers showed piles of corn, baskets of fruit, and rows of vegetables. The young farmer stood by his wheat, his stomach tight. Other farmers had bigger displays, their crops bright and perfect. He felt small, ready to leave. But the tree's words echoed. "Start believing." He stayed, his hands steady. Judges walked through the square, their eyes sharp. A tall farmer showed corn that sparkled like gold. A woman farmer presented apples, red and round. The young farmer's heart sank. "Mine's nothing special," he thought. But when the judges reached him, they stopped. A judge, an old woman with kind eyes, touched his wheat. "This is honest work," she said. "It tells a story of care." The crowd whispered, and the young farmer's cheeks turned red. As the judges talked, The young farmer looked at his wheat. He saw the months of work, the early mornings, the tired nights. He realized he hadn't just grown crops, he'd grown himself. Standing there, showing his work, was a win, no matter the prize. The tree's words rang true. His doubt was fading, replaced by belief. The judges called out winners. The tall farmer's corn took first, shining under the sun. The young farmer's name wasn't called, but he didn't feel small anymore. People stopped by his stall, smiling at his wheat. A city merchant with a wide hat and a warm voice offered to buy his crops. "Your wheat has heart," he said. "It'll sell well." The young farmer nodded, his dark eyes bright. That night, he sat under the tree, his wheat bundled beside him. "You were right," he said. The tree hummed softly. "You stopped doubting. That's the real harvest." The young farmer smiled, his heart light. He began planning his next field, bigger and bolder. He'd plant not just seeds, but belief in himself. The village changed too. People talked about the young farmer's wheat, how it shone with care. Children asked to help in his fields, and elders shared his story at night. The young farmer worked harder, but now he stood tall, his doubt gone. The tree watched, its leaves swaying, proud of the seed it helped grow. Years later, the young farmer's fields were wide, his crops golden. He sat under the tree, now older, his hands still rough, but his heart full. "I believed," he said. The tree's branches rustled, and you grew. His story spread, told by travelers, written in the village's songs. It wasn't about prizes, it was about stopping doubt and starting to believe. A lesson that grew stronger than any crop.